After many years of people asking me, dude, you gotta read Essex County, when are you gonna give us a review for Essex County? It's finally here. Essex County is, in a lot of people's eyes, Jeff Lemires' masterstroke. It's his absolute greatest thing that he's ever done, and to a lot of people, it still hasn't been topped. But today we're gonna take a look at it and see if that hype is justified. Let's get into it. Essex County is one of Jeff Lemires' early works, and it's kind of structured really interestingly. It's not one continuous story. What Essex County is that it centers around three people that live in this county. The first story involves a young little boy who was orphaned. I'm not going to get into too many specific details as to why he was orphaned, but suffice to say that he is orphaned and now he's basically living with his uncle on this small town farm. This little boy is really fascinating because, like many of us, he uses comics to escape. He uses them as a way of dealing with life and dealing with the tragedy that is around him. The second story is perhaps my favorite one. The second story involves two brothers. These two brothers, who were inseparable at one point in their life, used to be the biggest thing in hockey in Canada. They were famous all over the place. They were going to go to the big leagues. However, something ended up happening. Something ended up happening to their relationship, and things tumble from there. Fast forward to a few years later, you see one of the brothers. He's old, he's living in an old folks home, he's decrepit, his memory's starting to go, and now he's starting to reflect on life. This was the most powerful of the three stories for me by far. As somebody that is getting older and is really starting to learn what relationships mean in life, this was a story that really stuck with me the most. The third story involves a nurse that works at the local nursing home where the old man stays in. The third story is interesting because that's where you start seeing the other two stories tie into her story. Jeff Lemire kind of pulls a bit of a Pulp Fiction here, where you see characters in the background of certain other stories, but they cross over and they interweave, and in the end they all kind of clash with each other story-wise. It's not a big kaboom fight or anything like that, but eventually everything comes to a head, and when certain revelations happen in this story, it did leave my jaw dropping. There's a moment in here where you see the fallout of everything, and you see, for lack of a better term, a family tree that really just made me realize how much of a journey Jeff Lemire was able to construct in the span of a few pages. And that's really this book's biggest hat trick, where you are going through decades of story. You are literally seeing decades of story, and you're flipping in between pages sometimes of different chapters in people's lives, and you don't realize it. By the end of this book, there was a journey that I took without me realizing it, and that to me was the most impressive part, that I didn't realize I was spanning different generations across this book, and then when they lay out the family tree of this story, it almost instantly blew my mind. What's also really impressive is just how well Jeff Lemire is able to construct what it's like living in a small town. For those of you out there that have ever lived in a small town, you kind of get a feel of that here. The fact that the principal knows everybody, the fact that the police officer basically knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's kind of related to everybody in some way, whether biologically or through other means. It's all very much apparent here, and it's the finer little details that really make that small town living pop in this book. In terms of the art, Jeff Lemire draws this book as well, and Jeff Lemire's art admittingly is not for everybody. Nobody here is pictured beautifully. There's no superheroic poses, there's no grandiose moments or anything like that, but rather the more quiet and somber moments is where Jeff Lemire really excels at and really just heightens the tension during certain moments. There are a few panels in here, especially involving the young boy and his uncle, that are just earth-shattering. There's a scene in here in particular that involves the child walking out on his uncle after they have a huge argument, and it's that quietness that Jeff Lemire is able so masterfully do that really just hits you in the gut. That awkwardness of you just had a fight with somebody that you love and they walk out of the room and you want to say something but you're holding back because you really just don't want to continue the fight. That to me is the most powerful moment in this book. For those of you that are used to Jeff Lemire's art style, it's here, however, it's a bit rougher than normal. This was Jeff Lemire when he was first starting in the industry. He was first cutting his teeth, so his style isn't as refined. However, it is very much present. There are certain panels in here that he is able to condone so much emotion with the use of eyes. Eyes are a big part of this story, and like I mentioned earlier, the quiet moments are usually told with those eyes. And I have to say, in that area, Jeff Lemire absolutely succeeds. One thing that I want you to pay attention here is the use of negative space and the darkness that surrounds the characters. Oftentimes what you will notice is that a lot of characters, when they will go through a very tragic or dramatic moment in this book, they'll be shrouded in darkness to emphasize just how bleak and how down they are feeling, and Jeff Lemire really uses that sparingly. However, this is also a book about small town living, so he gets to play around with that a lot. That use of black and that use of negative space in the background, especially in scenes where there are moments where characters are out and about, it's nighttime, they're in a field, they're in a farm, and there's snow trickling down. It's a really well done masterstroke of genius. Essex County is widely regarded by a lot of comic book fans as Jeff Lemire's finest work, with good reason. Essex County is a beautiful story that had one of the most mind-blowing moments that I didn't even realize. I'm telling you right now, guys, I was really light on story this week in terms of telling you what goes on in this, simply because I really want you to take this ride and explore it and really sink your teeth into it and just dive into this. This is a very quick read. The book is over 500 pages long, but bear in mind, the dialogue is very sparse in here, and when it's used, it's very important, guys. This is fantastic writing, and this is Jeff Lemire at the top of his game, and this was when he was first starting, so it makes it even more impressive. If this is your first time checking out my channel, guys, I rate my books on a pass, borrow, buy perfect scale, and hands down, I'm giving this one a solid buy. It's teetering on that perfect, but just didn't quite make it for me. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's definitely going to go on my top 10 at the end of the year for books that I should have read but didn't. Guys, read this one. Guys, if this is your first time here, please comment, subscribe, let me know what you think of Essex County in the comment section down below. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. If you like this content, you want to keep supporting this channel, Patreon is found down below. Everybody and their mom has one, but still, check it out. I love you guys. Have a great week. Bye.